Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. This is a bonus episode that we have for this week with our interview with Dallas Kemp, the creative director of Atomic Mass Games, while we were at Adepticon 2024. I just wanted to share that with anyone who wasn't able to watch it while it was streamed live, so we're going to go ahead and get that up for you. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And I have my special guest that I have coming on. I am super excited. This was Adepticon for me.
Are you ready?
Whatever you want to come in here, buddy.
Yeah, we can start now. They don't want to hear me talk when you're here.
No. Dallas. So I am being joined by the one and only Dallas Kemp.
I gotta be the one and only, because if I don't be me, someone else will try to be me, and they're just gonna mess it up.
They're going to mess it up. No one can be you.
No one can be you.
That is true.
Everybody gotta be themselves.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. So how is...
I don't know which one's right.
Yeah, no, they got the letters inside for you.
You're not on screen, am I? Looking
No, well, you kind of a little bit. A little. You're just in the little tiny area over there.
Perfect. I love being a postage stamp.
Yeah, exactly. That way we can travel more.
I have a face for radio.
I do too. Exactly. That's where we're going.
I don't know. I think we're both very handsome dudes.
I think you're a handsome man.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Look at this.
I know. We go to the same barber.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So easy.
It's so much easier. So how you doing? I know what you're saying. How have you been? How's Adepticon going for you so far? Is it?
Just absolutely going good. We're having a blast. What are we playing? Oh, Shatterpoint.
This is Shatterpoint today.
I
Yep.
just had to make sure.
I know. You were making sure I knew where we were
Well,
at.
I was making sure I was going to start making calls about how the gameplay went. Maybe like,
You know, at this point in time, everybody's here for you, really. This is we're all here for you. No, so I am excited. My biggest thing about Adepticon when you guys started doing a lot of this stuff was the worthy and how exciting it is, because it's people have the view of painting competitions when it comes to miniatures, and that's not what the worthy's all about.
It's not.
What is it all about to you?
So, I mean, the worthy really is set up for two things, right? Kind of two things. And of course, I'm going to talk and I'm going to say 3 or 4 things. But from a miniature painting competition, of course, we want to celebrate the hobby. We want to celebrate the miniature painting, because that's the fundamental unique thing about miniature hobby games, right?
Right.
There's board games, there's card games. I love all those. There's video games. I love video games. There's Go. I love playing Go.
Right.
I love chess. Play chess with my kid. But the unique thing about miniature hobby games is that ownership, that little bit of storytelling that you get to partake in, right?
Right.
What other activity where you get to build a scene, right? Such as this with a cool painted train set and add your own flair to it, right? We got little red lines on the gantries, and you really feel like it's an Imperial bunker, right, in that scene, right?
Exactly.
So, and then you get to paint your squad, and you spend so much time on that squad, right? A game might take 2 hours, but I spent 3 hours painting Darth Vader.
Right, exactly.
We're already so the fundamental thing so we want to celebrate that. But like you were saying, right, what you're alluding to, Radio Talk, is that, they can be intimidating, right? Because you see famous painters, right?
Right.
You see amazing pieces of art. But the way the Worthy is set up is it's an open format judging system. So when you come in, my goal is, I say every miniature has a destiny, right? And it's you get to decide the destiny of that miniature. So maybe that miniature's destiny is a paint competition. Maybe it's for the studio. Maybe it's for
the LGS.
It's just for the LGS. I mean, that's what I paint for. I paint to play with my family and my friends, right? Yeah. So we want to create that path where you come in and you tell me what is your goal? What's your destiny of these miniatures? What do you want to be good at? Do you want to be the best in the world? Do you want to be just good enough to make something look cool?
Yeah.
Right? And then with the open judging format, that means every single entry that is of a bronze level gets a bronze. Every single entry that deserves a silver gets a silver. Every single entry that gets a gold gets a gold.
Yeah.
And then from the golds, that's when we start okay, well, out of the golds, right, who gets the Mjolnir.
Right.
And then of the 3 people who earn Mjolnirs, that's when you go, oh,
Yeah.
who's getting that Odin?
Right.
That chunky Odin.
Yeah, those are some bad trophies.
Those are awesome, right?
They are great trophies. I love it.
I'm jealous I never get to win one. Like, I got a broken one in the office, right? Like, that one's mine. Like, it's not. Because, some painting competitions or even any kind of competitions, right? Unless it's a race where you have a timer, right?
Right.
It's like 1, 2, 3. Well, how do you know that you were 4, 5, or 6?
Yeah.
And what's the difference, right? So the other thing we provide is at the end of the show, when you come pick up your miniature, me or one of the other judges, this year we got Elizabeth Beckley and Ben Comets helping me judge, and you'll be able to get feedback and be like, hey, Dash, you gave me a bronze. Man, I really thought from last year's feedback I was going to get silver, and then I'll be able to be like, okay, like, let's talk, right? Like,
nice.
This is what I saw, right? This is what it's art, it's subjective. But my goal is to help you, right? Not tear you apart. I never want to tear anybody apart.
Helping you grow as a painter and going on that next step on your journey of where you want to be.
Yeah, the journey, the path of the worthy,
exactly.
right? Like, it's everybody's on the same path. We're just on different points.
Yeah.
Right? And my goal is to be like a Sherpa, right? To help you up the mountain, right? I've done competition painting. I've done studio painting. I'm not the best in the world. I don't claim to be. But I got a lot of years of knowledge, and like I want to pass it on. And my knowledge might not be the knowledge you use. My knowledge might be the knowledge that you take and be like, Dallas said do this, or Dallas said try this. That doesn't mean it's the end all be all of information.
Yeah.
But that might like but what if I took what Dallas said and what Ben said, and they were a little different?
Combine the techniques together, yeah.
Or like you pull back on mine and you push on his, but you keep a little bit of mine in there, right? Like, and then you add a lot of you, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's like making jambalaya, right? You need to put in the spice, I need to put in the peppers, right? Like, somebody needs to put in the andouille, right?
Yes, exactly.
So we all got to contribute together to help each other grow.
I love it. Is there a worthy that we can potentially look forward to with maybe Star Wars coming? Can you tell us about that if it is in the works?
I mean, it's definitely something I thought of, right?
Yeah.
It's an easy idea, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to make that sound weirdly, like it's a very easy idea. You just never know.
You never know. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that because there's some people that they're just drawn to the IP of Star Wars, and I mean, either way, I mean, I started out with playing MCP, so like I was just, as soon as I saw that you were doing the Worthy, of course we had COVID that kind of put a little bit of a damper on that.
Oh man, I was so ready in 2020. So like, Atomic Mass has only been in studio since 2019, and we've only been like known like to the public in the big reveal of 2019 at Gen Con, remember?
Yeah.
And so 2020, man, I had the Odin ready. Like, I was ready. Like, we had all the stuff. We had it all ready to go, and I was stoked. I was like so excited to bring this this philosophy of helping people on their guiding path. And man, COVID
just hurt us.
But the Shatterpoint miniatures, man, they just, for me, right, like, they're designed from a miniature painter's POV. Right? Like when Schick and I first started talking about Shatterpoint, like what it could be and what it could become, right? Like, we both immediately like knew we wanted like stylized. We want this like angular, stylized version of the characters. And for me, like for him, I think it was like more aesthetic and like what he jives with. But for me, I'm like, man, like, that's going to be so fun to paint.
Right. And they're larger miniatures than even from the MCP side. So you have a larger canvas to work with, which is what I really like, especially for people, new painters coming in.
Absolutely.
It really helps them, like, because my podcast partner, Aubrey, this is the first miniatures game.
It's Shatterpoint.
Yeah. He's coming from the Magic world, so this is his first thing.
Wow.
So like, and he's completely just embracing it. But it's like he's on that that first step. And it's like we're sitting at our kitchen table, pulling out paints and like introducing them. Okay, these are the paints you use. These are the paints you don't use.
You paint together?
Yeah, we've had a couple painting together and stuff like that. So.
You're after my heart. Like, painting miniatures is like like we were saying a little bit earlier, right? Like I'm going to spend, when I paint my characters for the tabletop, right? My goal is like 1 to 3 hours.
Right.
Like that's my target. Like, and some characters that get a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. Some characters are a little bit more complex and they demand a little bit more. But you spend so much time by yourself, like your head down with your pen and your pad, just you got the light, you got the paints, you're doing it, there's no one talking to you, you got a movie playing in the background or a podcast or some music. But I love and truly believe like one of the easiest ways to get better and to get motivated is communal paint. Right. I do paint jams all the time. I got a couple of my friends and crew that, it's like every 2 weeks, like, hey, let's get on there, let's paint all night Saturday night, right? Sit down, like, what are you working on? Oh, I'm working on that. Like, oh, that's really cool. Like, oh, why didn't you do this? Oh, that's a good idea. Like, what are you doing? Oh, that's really cool. Like, I remember you did that other character kind of like that. Like, are you going to do the same thing? I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll try a little more purple this time, right? Yeah. Like, mix it up. Try something jazzy.
Exactly. Like, and just painting as a community together and working, like, with one of the things I love the most is my 13-year-old daughter. My local LGS runs a painting competition every month. They just do like little miniatures, and I'll sit there and I'll go buy one for me, buy one for my daughter, and my 13-year-old and I will sit down and we'll paint together.
It's beautiful.
I love it. I mean, it's like there's great things that you can do within this hobby as a general, just to like come together as people.
I mean, look at Adepticon,
right?
Like, look at Adepticon. I mean, we've always said it from Atomic Mass. Like, we're not to sound like, like the company guy. Like, I'm just part of the community too, right? Yeah. I'm just a person who just likes painting miniatures and playing games, just like everybody else, right? Like,
exactly.
Like when we do our weekly streams, like most of the time, those are mine.
Yep.
Right. That's not just I'm painting this for the stream. That's like no, that's mine. That's mine. So when I go to a local game store, or I set up at the house, or I come to like an event where I play, like you might be like, dude, I saw you paint that on stream. I'm like, yeah, that was mine. Like,
right, exactly.
We're in this together.
Right.
We're building a community, and it takes a community to grow and come together.
And even your work in itself, like just you painting, showing people what you're doing, it inspires other people to sit there and up their game. It's like, I want to paint what Dallas painted.
Yeah.
Like looking at your Vader Redeemed in just that has inspired so many people and so many different things. Like you just look at things that and that's the beauty of the Facebook community that you have too. Is like people will post stuff like, I want to do that. I think there was somebody that did like a Asajj, like a Night Sister Asajj, and you even commented, you're like, that's
I'm stealing that Asajj. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, good artist copy, great artist steal, right? Like, it's a Pablo Picasso quote, right? Yep. Like, it's that motivation, it's that inspiration, it's that, maybe I give you inspiration, and then you take that to your kids, and then your kid gets good, and then your kid comes takes my job from me, right? Like that's my goal. I need to retire soon. I'm getting old. That's so important to keep the hobbies alive. Keep the it's hobbies. Like it's coming together and painting those miniatures, and I'm sorry. This is the way I talk. This is what
I was excited to have you for exactly who you are. It's like
I go places. I take journeys. Right. When I road trip. Like that Vader Redeemed. Going back to that. Like I was actually kind of nervous about that idea. To be perfectly honest,
really?
Like I was like, I was working on it. Well, so I had the idea for a while, right? And they did a toy a while, like an all-white Vader. It was like light-side Vader, but it was just all white. It was just a Vader, just all white. And I was like, man, I think I could do. Like I like that idea, but I want to. Like I need to take the story. I need to tell the story. I need to go further. So like I started like thinking about that story, like laying in hotel rooms or just sitting at home thinking about it. Like I'm like okay, so Luke and Vader, right? They're fighting in the Emperor's throne room, right? Right, we all know the story.
Yeah.
Right. Luke's and Luke defeats Vader, and they overthrow the Emperor together. But Vader, passes to the other side of the Force, right? And it's like, and I'm like, okay, well, but what if in that moment, Anakin come back, right? And and Luke saved him. Right. Like he saves him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how yet. I don't think like that. Like Luke saves him, and on his redemption arc, right? Of course he rebuilds the 501st.
Yep.
Right. Like so, being able to tell that story, like I was really nervous about posting it because I wasn't quite sure how it'd be received, and so that's like that side of like everybody has that side, right? Like, is people gonna like this?
Yep.
Like, I have that too, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't know, man, I don't know. And Schick is like, you should post that. Like I'm like,
I mean, it's an amazing piece of work. Definitely like it.
It took me forever to find a head. Like only Gar Saxon has a noggin that fits Vader's like giant frame because Vader's huge, right?
He is a big dude, yeah. Big dude. So let's switch gears.
Okay. Like Fast and the Furious where we got like 18 gears?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go. Talking about switching gears and racing, let's talk about some conch racing. I like it. Great transition. So everybody hears you talking about this conch racing.
Yeah.
What is conch racing?
I wouldn't call it a race. Man, so it was one of those ideas that just came about and we just ran with it, right? It was just like, let's just do it and see what happens. And the idea was immediately like, it's got to be ridiculous, right? It's because just the notion of it is ridiculous, right?
Right.
Gonk racing. Have you seen a gonk walk?
Not at all.
There's this burp, they wobble. And it's like, and Pagani and his team just went for it.
That's awesome, though.
And it's not really a race. Like, we've had play tests of that where I watched, Summer was play testing. Summer was piloting in the loosest term. And her gonk went through the first gate, and only the first gate, backwards. And Jeremy's gonk just hung out in a corner, just could not, like, and I'm just like, brah, 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 and I'm just like blazing through the gates. So what is gonk racing? It's a gonk adventure of epic proportions and just mayhem.
Are they going to actually put some rules out just as a fun?
That I don't know.
It would be amazing because I know, like, you guys talk about it all the time, and like people are like, okay, I don't know what it is, but I want to do it.
They're playing it here, like,
okay.
Why you're not streaming it, I don't know. Like, get somebody on that gonk table, man, for real. Like, I don't know. It's a really, really fun game, and it's really nice to be able to bring stuff to Adepticon, right? The convention experience, right?
Right.
Like the thing that happens at a convention, like. I remember. I mean, I've been around for a long, long, long time. Like, you go to a convention and you see something, and you get to do something, and you get to take that idea and like that story home, and like, you know, I remember a friend of mine went to Adepticon before I went to Adepticon, and he played an event, and he came back home, and he's like, dude, this event, like, the whole time I'm just like, I need to go to Adepticon.
Yeah.
Why did I not go? Like,
what was wrong with me?
Yeah. I'm a fool. Next year I'm going. And so, like, gonk is just one of those things, like, you get to present.
Yeah.
That fun, ridiculous.
Yeah, this is something crazy that I created that's just fun, and I want to share with everybody.
It's just ridiculous.
I love it.
It's so ridiculous. You gotta get a game in. Go get it.
I'm gonna have to. I'll have to get over there. So, you're the creative director.
Yeah.
How does I know you probably have like these great this imagination of, this is exactly what I want to create. This is what I envision putting on the table. How often do you have to like pull that back? Like how do you balance your creative mind with like the devs and what they're trying to sit there and actually put on the table?
That's an interesting question. We're not separate, but we're kind of like the miniatures, because the miniatures kind of come first. Mm-hmm. Just out of the timeline needs. Like, it takes a long, long time to make hard plastic miniatures. Like, you know, a long, long time. And so the big thing that I got to pull back on is capes. Because when I'm concepting something, I draw.
Big billowy capes?
I mean,
Speaking of Vader being on the table right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's an homage. Like, do you
No, I
recognize?
get it,
Do you recognize? Okay, some people. I don't think some people's picked up on the homage. Like we like to throw in homages.
Mm-hmm.
We like to look at things and like do our take on it, like in our interpretation. But like my capes are always like huge. Like I mean, just fifth gear, like and very just very obtuse. And lots of times it's like, okay, well, we got to pull that big because like you're literally hanging 2 inches off the base, right? Like, that's ridiculous. So we pull them in, and like sometimes poses, right? Like you know, I don't do all the poses. I work with a wonderful team, Josh and Preston. The art directors help me with poses. Tony jumps in from time to time. And we even like invite the sculpting team, our sculpting director Marco, and engineers. Like you know, I'm like, just give me feedback. Like, what do you think? Like, what does this mean from an engineering perspective, right? And get their feedback because it's very collaborative, right? You need. I can't just throw something out and just be like, make it, right? Like,
yeah.
Give me your feedback. Like, what do you see? Like, well, you know, if you twist that hand like that, like, you're going to create a better line. Oh yeah, you're right. Like.
There's a science to it and an anatomy side to it as well. Just putting
there's a lot. There's a lot that you go into, and like you know, we think of like, you know, the Vader as like, you know, my philosophy is like you think of the Vader as a complete canvas, like to use artistic terms. Like, it's a complete canvas. It's the full Monet, right? But like, the game is water lilies, right? It's Vader is one piece, the squad is one piece, and the terrain is another piece.
Yeah.
Right? The terrain is just as much of a character in the game, from my perspective, as Vader or Stormtroopers, right? So I need Vader to look good with Stormtroopers. I need Vader and the Stormtroopers to look good with the terrain. I need maybe that box that's coming out nearby. Like maybe we get like, you know, what if we like think of these together, right? Like maybe, you know, and it, not always, right? Just sometimes it just makes sense, or sometimes it feels right?
Yeah.
So pulling back, like, you know, I'm a big believer in you know, when we're concepting, dream huge.
Yeah.
I want no limits on your dreams, right? We can trim back.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go halfway, right, and we start making things and it's halfway.
Yeah, and then when you start trimming, it's like, okay, now we only got to a quarter of what we wanted, but if we start with 150% and you cut back, okay, we got exactly where we want to be at the end. So yeah,
that's exactly
I get it. I like it. It's great. That's
work together, team.
Exactly, all as one. So no, that's fantastic.
All as one. Yeah. I agree.
I love it. So, what are you looking forward with the Worthy though? Like, so we're circling back to that. Like, what are you excited? Like, were you wanting to see new models getting painted? Are you wanting to see some type of new, someone breaking out something different, like as far as like paint schemes or something along those lines? What gets Dallas going when it comes to innovation in painting?
That's such a good question. Oh man, that's such a good question. Let me think about this. So.
Sorry, I'm just going off the cuff now.
No, I love it. I'm here for it. So what do I want to see? Like, of course, I always love seeing something that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Right? Like a miniature that you've never seen in painting competition, and somebody just does something with it, and you're just like, whoa.
Right.
I didn't think of that. Right? Like, or new stuff is always exciting because you know it's new, right? As well, right? But what I really love is like there's in the Worthy, I'm seeing more celebration of the three-dimensionality, right? A lot of competition paint entries, they do the backdrop, right? And they force the perspective in your viewing angle, right? And I'm seeing more and more like openness and inviting me to go around the miniature, right? Inviting me to spin the miniature, inviting me to look at the back of the miniature. And that excites me so much because it's a three-dimensional art form.
Right.
And so seeing people in the Worthy, I'm seeing, you know, last year's winner, Jonathan Ho, really, really brought that to the front. And like I was like thinking about it and like doing sort of like my interpretation of the Spider-Man versus Green Goblin with the smoke trail. Like my goal there was I had a backdrop, but to invite you to spin it and tell the story. Like but he took it to a different place.
Yeah, where the whole thing, you wanted it to spin so you could see every angle.
I wanted it on like a little mechanical plinth, just spinning like a little record player, right? So I'm seeing a lot of that, and that's always very exciting. Just storytelling is really big, and I'm seeing a lot of really cool stories being told over there. Those are really, really important and very exciting for me.
So, like, because you want to see like that's part of that journey, though, is just bringing someone. You want someone to be invited into their mind and what they're thinking. So you can sit there and look at the piece and go, "Yeah, man, I dig it. I see it.
I see you."
Exactly.
You know, like I watch those cooking shows, right? Like, you know, where they're like, "This is you on a plate," and I'm like, that's what I want, right?
Yeah.
I want to pick up the miniature and I want to be like, "This is you. This is your heart."
Yeah.
And I see your heart, and I see you, and I recognize you, and that's super important. Like, tell me your story, invite me into your world, right? I had a guy a fella earlier, turned in his entry. He's like, Dallas, I was really thinking about, like, I should have put a plaque on it that had and he had some quip, right? Like, you know, some funny saying that the characters would be saying, and I was like, I'm glad you did it, like, because the story was there.
Yeah.
I didn't need the little plaque to kind of like invite me in or open the door, right? I didn't need the welcome mat.
Yeah, you wanted to be able to walk through on your own without being like drugged
through, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't need the green light flashing for me to step on the gas, and shift it into fifth gear, right? The piece itself told all the story I needed to tell, and he's like, "Oh my God, thank you! Like, I'm so glad I made the right decision." I'm like, well, look, there's no wrong decision. Like, you could have done the plaque and it could have worked out just fine.
Yeah.
But what you presented me is what you presented me, and I can't judge anything else, right? And this piece works for me, right? So it was the right decision today.
And I think that's something that I think people lose track of, especially like with what you're trying to accomplish in this, is that people are like, what do I need to make Dallas want to like this? Versus when you're actually literally trying to show yourself and what you are doing and accomplishing as an individual, not what can I do to make Dallas happy in his painting. And so it's amazing that it's just so different than I think anything else is people are seeing, is like, we want you to express you, not win.
Yes. Like, I want you to win. I want everybody to win, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big softie. Like, I come off like all gruff. And, like,
we
grumpy.
see through you. It's all right.
Everybody's like, he's so grumpy. I'm like, I'm not actually. I'm just a big teddy bear. I want everybody to win. It is a celebration, and there is going to be a winner. And it is, it's an art form, and there's a bit of subjectivity to it, and there is a bit of what I'm kind of looking for, right? Like, you can tell a great story, but if it's like if the backdrop is falling off, like, I'm like, I'm sorry, that there's layers to it, right? Like, there's the construction of the piece, there's the the application of paint, and that doesn't mean everything's got to be perfectly smooth, right? It means it has to be equitable, right? Things should be equitable, right? And that doesn't mean everything has to be painted exactly the same. Like, you might paint the trash can standing next to Deadpool a little rough, a little tumble, but as long as it's thought, it's the thought, the equitable thought of the process and the equitable expression of skill. Like, that doesn't mean it's got to be perfectly smooth. It's got to be like this and da 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 da. Like, the thought has to be there, right? And those are super important, right?
You're making your actions are thoughtful and meaningful. You're not just sloppily doing an action. You're actually thinking through your action.
Yeah, think through it, right? Like, that's inviting me in. Like, the more you think about your story, the better your story, right? Mm-hmm. If I read a book and it's like, well, I don't really understand what's going on, like, but if I read another book, I'm like, oh wow, that took me on a journey, and I totally forgot what time it is. I should be going to bed. It's 3:00 in the morning. I got to be up in 2 hours for work, for my commute through Seattle traffic. Like, it's that thoughtfulness to the story, and that thoughtfulness to the person that's looking at it and inviting the viewer.
I love it. Love every minute of it. Man, thank you for coming on, though.
How much time we got?
I don't know. How much?
We got 15 minutes.
15 minutes. I brought you on early.
I got a hard out at 6.
Oh, do you? Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about then, Dallas?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Do you have a? Can I draw on the screen and like do?
I don't know.
Plays?
I don't think so. That's the problem. Is like I tried to get it set up for you,
Oh.
and then you're like, nope. All right, Dallas.
I see here Darth Vader is doing the classic Excelsior maneuver.
So, Dallas, what was the thing that really got you going on your journey for painting? You know, like you've worked for many companies. Like you came over from Privateer Press to AMG. And you were just. I remember looking at I was looking through some of the old pictures of you, and you're like you're like some of your photos and that you were doing when you were a Privateer Press, and like you're like hanging out.
Ridiculous.
I know, it was amazing. I love it. But what made you what started you down the path to bring you to being the creative director for here?
So when I was 8.
Really? That long ago?
I'm going to tell the whole story. You want the whole story?
We got
15 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got 15 minutes. Let's go for it.
As an 8-year-old child, I saw a horror movie.
Okay.
And my mom walks in and was like, oh my gosh, what is it? Who are you watching? And I was like, how'd they do that? Like, that was my question.
The special effects?
The special effects.
Okay.
I was like, how'd they do that? It's not real. I'm like, I'm 8, but come on, that didn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I seen that guy in another movie. I was like, how'd they do that? And that fascinated me for so many years. Like, I wanted to go to school to become a special effects makeup designer, right? And then I learned to become a good special effects makeup designer, you should learn beauty school design, like how to apply beauty makeup and stuff like that. So, and then comic books happened when I was like, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that. And like, I knew what comic books were, but like, that's when it hit.
Yeah.
Like it stuck. And suddenly it became like, I want to draw comics. Like, but the idea that the path was still there, right?
Right.
And you're following me, right?
Yeah,
you see
I
where
see where
we're
it's
going. So like that path was right there, right? Like I wanted to make monsters. And then I wanted to draw monsters because then you could create your story.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell my story. I could come up with whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
Right? And I found that super fascinating. What I found out, I'm not that good. Actually.
At drawing?
At drawing. Like I get by, but I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine, and I done like car kits and airplane kits when I was a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, the normal like you get it like the dime store or whatever.
Yeah,
you
put it together and
Yeah.
you kind of know what you're painting, but you don't really know what you're
Yeah.
doing. And then a friend of mine introduced me to miniatures, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, so you paint that? And he goes, yeah, and then you play a game. And I was like, oh no, this is not good. And for a long, long time, right, I had a normal job, right? I worked in restaurants, I worked in factories, and I didn't know how to become an artist. I didn't, artist, and very loose. I don't actually like that term. I prefer craftsman, actually, for myself.
Makes sense.
Because it's all practice. Like, I don't feel like I have any, there's no, like, special spark in my head, right? Some people would disagree. But to me, it's all like I'm a craftsman. That's just me. So I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I was just doing jobs, and then one day I went to a convention. I ran into a person, and they were doing a painting competition, and I didn't want to get feedback. I didn't even want to enter. And a friend of mine was like, "You should get feedback." So I went and got feedback, and dude laced me up, right? Like, no holds barred.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't cut slack. And I'm a creature of spite. Like, so I went home and I'm like, I'm going to show him. I'm going to show him. Like, tell me what. So I went home and I practiced. And I went back the next year. And I said, now what do you think? He's like, I see what you're trying to do. And I'm like, oh.
So we're going down this road now.
This is and to be fair, like, he's still a very good friend of mine, wonderful person, and we've talked about it. And he's like, I saw you in your story, and I knew that I needed to do that too.
So he knew the buttons to push to get you to go
Yeah.
down, to push you down the path the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean, I fought, and I turned everything over, and I was just like, I'm gonna learn how to paint. I'm gonna learn how to paint miniatures. I'm gonna learn how to make this a job, right? I want to make it a career, and I was able to do so. So
That's
I'm
fantastic.
eternally grateful for that, right? Like, just poor kid from Missouri, man.
And you just watching a horror movie one day, and you're like, I want to sit there and do
It
it.
was a horror movie. It all started it.
That's amazing.
Just everything blossomed out of that one question. How'd they do that?
Yeah.
Because I've asked that of every miniature I've ever seen painted. How'd they do that? I need to know how they do that. I want to copy it. I want to steal it. I want to take what they did, and I want to make it mine.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that goes to like one of my great quote: "Be curious, not judgmental."
That's a good quote.
Yep.
Be curious, not judgmental. I'm about to judge a painting competition. People are being like, dude, that's all you get paid to do is judge. I mean, that's true.
But you're curious about the journey too of that individual in their painting. So it's not like, yes, you're judging, but you're very much trying to.
I'm trying to cultivate.
Yeah.
I believe in you, right? And you.
I hope so.
You. I believe in everybody. Like, I believe. Oh man, you want to get wishy-washy, existential. I believe in the unlimited potential of humanity. Like, the stars could be ours.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe everybody has a voice and everybody has something to say, and it's all part of the conversation. So I want to see what you're saying. I want to talk to you about it and show me what you're doing in your art.
I like it.
That's it. My little section, right? Just
But I mean that's.
little toy soldier heroes.
But you know what? You're bringing happiness to people in your own way too. I mean that's part of what it is. Is like the journey of that you're creating a vessel for people's journey.
Yeah.
And that's not everybody's willing to do that. So it's
Yeah.
I think within the community, at least for me, I look at it. I'm this thankful. It's like, man, Dallas created this amazing thing, and AMG created this amazing vessel for all of these people, like my friend Aubrey. Who is this? He's just learning how to paint, and he's got a non-judgmental place where he can sit there and submit a piece of art that he has done. And it's like, yeah, it's only taken him a couple hours to do it, and it's his first time going down the road. And he can sit there and submit it and go, and you can get constructive feedback on what he's done, and that's the important part.
And not just constructive. Like, the goal is actionable.
Yeah.
Like, actionable.
Like, here is how you.
It's very easy to criticize.
Yes.
It's the easiest thing for humans to do. It really, really is. It's so easy to criticize. But it's really hard to create actionable critiques. I also have a hard rule: never take advice from somebody, or never take criticism you wouldn't take from advice from.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
I love that one. Because criticism's easy. So my goal is actionable criticism.
Yeah.
Actionable, to help you. But you have to tell me what your goal is. I'm not going to tell you what your goal is.
Yeah.
Right? I could just very easily be like, oh, well, you didn't paint this to the standard of a gold, and you'll never be there, kid. You could come up and be like, I just want my thing to look good in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I want my friends to be like, hey man, you're getting better.
Yeah.
I'll be like, great, that's an admirable path. Let's get you on it.
Yeah. And I think that's having that realistic. I think that's more self-reflection that people have to have, though, as well as not everyone's going to be a studio painter. Not everyone's going to be Jonathan Ho. Not everybody's going to be painting at that level. But realistically, are you going to be able to sit there and make something that you can sit there and go, yeah, man, I painted that?
The answer is yes.
And that's where I think that's finding that balance within ourselves is part of, I think, the bigger question that you have to ask yourself, and what you've created is, here's the path, where is your journey starting, where do you want that journey to, where's your end goal?
Yeah.
And I don't think, and a realistic end goal, because like I said, they're not all going to be Jonathan O. I mean, I'll look at his artwork all day, it's amazing.
I mean, there's many painters out there that are just mind-blowingly good, right? I have the painters I look up to, and just I'm blown away. And I'm not trying to be better than them, right? But I want to be in awe.
Yeah.
But I want to be in awe of everything. I want to look into the stars and be in awe. I'm a sucker for that stuff, right? I be in awe. At least my partner was telling me she read something at least every 2 months you should find something to be in awe of, because it does something in your brain to like.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just constantly dull, like, oh, whatever, it starts to dull the mind, and it's like you want that spark that of happiness and creativity, of something that just, like you said, you're in awe of, just like, that is amazing.
The vastness of the galaxy, like something as simple as that. Like sometimes I just look up in the night sky and I'm just thinking the vastness of the galaxies, like the vastness of space, like the majesty of a black hole, right? Like the infrastructure of a dandelion. Like I get wrapped up in those things, right? I get in awe of these things. Sunsets, right? I'm a sucker, what somebody creates, I get in awe of, because like I said, that untapped human potential, right? Or unlimited human potential, the unlimited human potential for creativity and expression. And I get in awe of what people do, and I want to take that in and bring it into my reality.
Nice.
Okay, I know we gotta go real soon. Okay. The like, how do you, I always get asked, I'm gonna just riff one of those questions. How do you get good at painting?
Okay.
Right? I get that asked all the time. How do you get good at painting? How do you get, there's no secret recipe, right?
No, there isn't.
There's no paintbrush. It's learning how to fail, learning to love to fail, and learning to recognize a plateau is the moment before growth. And then the other thing is be a good hobbyist, right? You can't build a house without a solid foundation. So mold lines, gaps. And then second thing, sit down and gain 30 pounds.
Okay, I got that covered already.
Yeah, you're halfway there.
No, and that's great advice. I mean, like a lot of people are like, where do I start? What do I do? And it's definitely like, these are the little things, the small things, like where I take the time and I scrape that mold line. I get a little bit of putty and put it in that in that gap. I sit, all those things that like the prepping of the model. Like where you're like, I just want to prime it and get paint on it. Well, make sure it's ready to be painted.
Well, I mean, my stuff. I mean, I've been on stream and like I put the miniature on the gimbal.
Yep.
Right. We do our test, and I do the mic test. 1 2, hello, and then I look at it and I look at the screen and we check the contrast, we check the resolution, and then I see it. I see the mold line, and I'm like, for a brief moment I'm like, and then I realize this is for the tabletop.
Right.
That doesn't matter for the tabletop. Yeah. Right? I made the choice of the destiny of that miniature for tabletop. So if I miss a little mold line here and there, it's not a big deal. Yeah. Right? But if you like, that's the thing. That's okay, because I chose that destiny. Now, if I'm painting a studio miniature, like let's say I paint a studio miniature, which I painted a few of the studio miniatures at AMG, and I'm in the middle of painting it, and I'm deep in that miniature, and then I find a mold line, that's got to go. And let me tell you want to talk about stress, like taking an X-Acto knife to a fully painted section and scraping away a mold line, and then paint matching back over. Yeah,
the paint matching part.
Yeah.
Because you've got that paint that's already dried.
I might have done that 2 days ago.
Oh my Lord.
I might have done that part 2 days ago, and then I didn't see it until I flipped the miniature over to do this other part, and it was blocking, or I was just lost in the sauce. Yeah. And then I see a mold line, I'm like, I can't have that mold line because it's a studio miniature. Yep. Right? That's going to be photographed by Matt. It's going to be up on the internet. Like, you're going to be like, it's your favorite character. You're going to be laying in bed, and you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, look at it. Oh, they got a mold line on there. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, no, totally cool.
Oh, it's closing up.
They're closing up shop.
Closing time.
I guess that's our time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what? I appreciate you.
I appreciate being on here. It was a blast.
It was a great time. I love it. Thank you very much, Dallas.
Thank you for having me. Did I just take this off and walk away awkwardly? I love that. What do I do with my hands?
I don't know. You can just do this one.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, no, I was expecting someone to come back. I guess they're not. They're just leaving. They say, bye, Dallas.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you so much.
That was great.
Come, we should talk more.
We will. And thank you for listening to this episode of Momentous Struggle. as you just listened to the interview we had with Dallas Kemp live at Adepticon 2024. If you want to support the podcast, you can go ahead and rate, review our podcast on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. If you're watching us on YouTube, by all means, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you want to do a little bit more for us, you can always go ahead and join our Patreon. Our Patreon starts at as little as $1 a month. That gets you access to our patron-only section of our Discord, as well as additional entries into any type of giveaways that we are doing. We are currently doing one on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and find that video for this month's giveaway, and we will go ahead and you'll be automatically entered into that as well. But you can get some bonus entries by being a patron. So that's going to be available on YouTube. We're giving away all sorts of great swag that we got at Adepticon. Some acrylic rangefinders, an acrylic momentum tracker, some of the custom dice that they had. So all sorts of great stuff. So go ahead and jump on there, like that video, subscribe, and leave us a comment on that video, and you'll be automatically entered. But that wraps up this bonus episode for the week. I do again want to say thank you for listening, and may the force be with you.